entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it can be really bad.
Yeah.
So let me tell you some of the things that people don't talk about when it comes to owning your own business.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about the personnel problems. You know, all the things that are not glorious,
Yeah.
really at the end of the day fall on you as a business owner.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about that. So if you're listening to this and, you know, whether you own a company or maybe you're a salesperson, you're 100% commission, so you're kind of self-employed anyway, or you've had some exposure to that, or your wife is, or your husband is, or what have you, you know what I'm talking about. Just know that you're not alone. Nobody's immune from this.
Yeah.
No matter what, nobody's immune. Think about all your friends. How many of them have a W-2 job versus doing something where they're the master of their destiny?
In life, there's a blueprint for everything. There's no need to start over. Hear from industry leaders, those at the top of their fitness journey, and real estate gurus. They tell you exactly how they did it. All you have to do is listen, learn, and execute. This is The Blueprint with Brad Rice.
All right, everybody, we're back to another edition of The Blueprint, and today is going to be just a kind of a session I wanted to give today for myself, for my audience, and every now and then we do this. I think we've done it 2 or 3 times before, where I'll just sit with Micah and we'll just chat and we'll talk about current things that are going on in the market, what's happening with the business, what's happening with us personally, and this is one of those times because I know that when I do this, I typically get some of our audience that reaches out and tells me that they've had similar experience or that helped them, or hearing that somebody else is going through something gives them some hope. And so that's really the purpose of today. Won't be a long one, but thank you for tuning in, and we'll get right to it. So first to start with, because I did get a comment from somebody this morning that listens to the podcast and said they've been enjoying it, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody in the mortgage business, somebody I've been trying to recruit, actually. And it was just a nice comment. And along with that, this is how I know they're watching, right, or listening. She said, "I'm glad your arm's better." So yes, I am. I'm doing pretty good. And actually, Mike, I have some more video to give to you, but I've been kind of keeping track of my progress. And I've kind of spaced out the recordings now because there's not a lot to report. But the first, I think, 5 weeks or so after surgery, I was going in and just kind of recording where it's at, because the videos that I looked at, so just to kind of take a step backwards, I tore my bicep on June 21st. And it was very painful, and it sucked because beginning of summer essentially, and I'm like, I know it's a long recovery, and so I wanted to get in for surgery right away and get the healing started, but my surgery was postponed. I was going to be in like 3 days afterward, which was great. And it was postponed to 10 days after, which was still within the 2-week window that you really want to get these things repaired on. But then they have this kind of regimen they put you through that's really a long period of time for healing, and they don't want you moving and things of this nature. So I'm in a cast for 2 weeks, then a brace, and the brace is designed to help you to extend the arm just a click every week. And I started just kind of self-administering, this cocktail of things I added, supplements and so forth, and injections. And I don't know if that's what did it. I think it has a lot to do with it, but I'm healing very quickly. So I won't get into all the details today, but when I went to see the surgeon at 6 weeks, this is almost a week ago, he was shocked. He was like, I knew immediately because he came in and, doctors have to kind of do their thing. They can't say anything about these alternative medicines. They have to go through trials and all these things. They have to be careful with their insurance and all that. So, but you can see the look in his eye. And he was like, how you doing? And I said, I'm doing great, doc. I mean, you got any pain? Nope. The last pain I had was like a week ago. This was like in week 5. And he said, anything bothering you? I said, the only thing that bothers me is I got full movement. I just can't supinate my hand as much as I should be able to. And what that means is when you hold your hands out, so if you take your hands and you put them straight out. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, you'll see this. If not, I'll describe it. So you put your hands straight out, and let's just say you're going to drink some water, like just your hand is straight up, you're holding a cup, you're drinking water. That's kind of neutral. When you turn your hands in, that's called pronation, right? When you turn them out, like you're like, hey, give me a low 10 here, or whatever you want to call it. Give me 10. Yeah. They don't do that anymore. But we used to do high 5, high 10. Anyway, when you turn it to the outside, that's called supination. And so you can see Micah right here. This is as far as I can do it without pushing.
Yeah.
And so I've got to work on pushing this and getting it to move over all the way. But that's really it. So he looked at that. He looked at my scar, which today I'm wearing one of those Moderna silicone strips to help the scar flatten and heal. And he goes, you're like somebody at the 12-week mark. So I went in for 6 weeks. He said I look like... So, look, I think it has a lot to do with that. If you guys are interested, if you know somebody that got an injury, shoulder, or bicep, anything like that, when we post the YouTube video, I think it'll be enlightening because those helped me. I watched others, and it really helped me with what to expect. Yeah. So yeah, that's part of how I knew this person was really watching.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a tough time, and actually I have one of our employees at HomePie just got surgery for his carpal tunnel. And they only did one hand, not two. And he said he was in extreme pain afterward. And it's interesting what he said about that. He said that it's no longer like a real invasive surgery. They don't even put you under. It's just a local. So they just numb your hand and your arm, and they go to town on it. And it's microscopic and all that. But he said the pain was extraordinary afterward. But this is 3 days afterward. He says he's feeling pretty good. So the healing is quicker than that too. Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. And yes, thank you for watching. You know who I'm talking about if you're listening to this. But
are you lifting still?
I started lifting again at like 5 weeks with like 5 pounds. Actually, it started with 3 pounds. Super light. Then I went to 5. I'm up to, and Doc, if you're listening to this, close your ears. I did 20 pounds yesterday. Nice. So, it's still super light, and even all my other exercises, I'm doing really light. I don't, the worst thing could happen is I injure it again. So I want to be very careful. I'm just trying to stay in tune with my body. But, I still got a long ways to go. There was a photo. So Laura and I, my wife and I, we were camping for the weekend, and we went up to Ventura. And they have the National Cornhole Championships there. Shout out to Scott Swenson. He turned pro about a month ago, and he was there. But I was there, and Scott took a picture of us, of my wife and I. We were sitting on this giant cornhole, like constructed thing for photos. Gotcha. Yeah, board. And I looked at him like, oh my gosh, my arms look small. So the reality is they'll come back, but it does take some time. Yeah, for sure. But I did lose a lot of weight going into this thing too. With not being hungry and not working out.
I think Devin's got you beat now.
Yeah, he's doing good. Yeah, he's doing good. So look, I want to talk about a few things today, and some of this, what I want is, Micah is 24. That's right. You turned 24.
I just turned 24.
He's 24. And Micah is renting. And Micah has a girlfriend who's renting. They don't live together. And I know this is something that, people your age, whether you're, dating somebody or not, think about all the time. And that's how are you going to buy your first house? Right. You're in Southern California. I mean, you sit on these sessions all the time. You hear about, loans. You hear about all sorts of things. And I'm sure in the back of your head, you're thinking, well, how am I and when am I going to be able to do this? And so I want to talk a little bit about that. And then just let's talk about the market in general. What's happening with interest rates? Where do we expect them to go? What do we expect from the housing market? This is stuff I study every single day. Yeah. Let's talk about reverse mortgages. Want to talk about why I'm leaning into that as a division of our company and spending a lot of time on that side of it. And then let's just talk about business in general, and maybe some of the tough times I've been going through that somebody might be able to resonate with.
Yeah.
And just the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. So let's first start with home buying. So not easy in California, not easy in Southern California, Northern California. Of course, there are parts that are way more reasonable for prices, but then you got to go to the outskirts, right?
Exactly.
And when you're used to a certain lifestyle, that's probably not real appealing to you, right?
Absolutely not. No, I've been driving out to Palmdale recently, and I have no expectation, or I would not want to live in Palmdale. But the houses are cheap out there, and they're like somewhat new.
Yeah.
So there's like some nice communities that are new, and they're nice, but like it's just a trade-off.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like.
Did you by any chance go into any models or anything when you're out there on new homes?
I'd say if you're considering joining the AmeriFund team, it's a really good idea.
We as processors at AmeriFund Home Loans support the loan officers in every aspect of the loan once it comes into processing, because we want them out there marketing themselves and originating more loans and supporting more borrowers.
Competitive commission plans are a given, and powerful technology is expected. But what truly sets us apart is our culture. We've built a solid support system for our loan officers.
If you're interested in joining the AmeriFund team, go to amerifund.com/careers.
No, but I go out there like pretty often, so I would I kind of want to.
Are you filming for somebody out there?
Yeah, I'm actually filming the reconstruction of Willow Springs Raceway over there off the 14. Yeah, they're redoing the whole thing, so I go out there like every 2 weeks and just fly the drone for like an hour.
That's right. You mentioned that to me. That's
cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's just
check out some of that footage.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
But like I said, Palmdale just doesn't have a whole lot to offer, because I do think about this quite often. Like, could I live here?
Yep.
What are the house prices here? How do they differ, between where I live, we're in Simi Valley, and there, and there's quite a change.
Yeah. So give me an idea, because you go by the signs out there. Like, does it say low 500s or?
I don't know the exact price, but I would assume around there.
Okay.
Not sure
Palmdale.
exactly.
It's interesting. You probably don't know the history of Palmdale, and Lancaster both. But the late 80s. So this is probably 87, 88. Just prior to that, there was a giant boom out there. And when I say a boom, I mean people were buying land, they're building housing, left and right. So if you look at like the number of homes that were built in the 80s, there's a lot. And then it was 88, 89, giant crash.
Dang.
But it was very much focused in that area there. And I'm talking about losing half of the value almost overnight. It was people lost fortunes out there. The reason I know about it, because I was young. I was 20 years old, 19, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And my dad had invested in a housing tract out there, and so I remember hearing, them talk about it, and the amount of money that was lost, and having to just basically people going belly up, bankrupt, and that sort of thing.
How does that even happen? A crash like that, and so quick. People
I would say it's akin to where we saw interest rates spike up dramatically in a very short period of time in 2022. And so when there's an economic event that causes a dramatic change in affordability, then the floor can fall out. And so this was one of those things. There was a change in interest rates. There was a change in the overall market. And because it had been really exploding out there, and I'm talking about home values going up by the tens of thousands every single month, it was way overbought. Yeah. But where it got really, where there was real trouble is those that were in the middle of construction. And this happened, and then the price of goods went up. Think of it as like COVID, where things spiked up in the price of goods too.
Right.
And so they were losing tons of money, and so they had to have fire sales to just get out from underneath it. And so when the new builders were basically dropping prices by the tens of thousands, it's like the stock market. When everybody sells, everybody wants to sell and get out as quickly as possible. So that's what happened out there.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I would assume, and I don't know the market out there very well, but I'd assume a few $100,000 less than here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's a little bit more affordable. But, so tell me the kind of mental exercise that you go through. You said you travel, you kind of look, could we live here, could we not? Then where does that bring you to mentally?
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like unobtainable, especially in like California, or because I mean, you have people around you also, like friends that have like good paying jobs, and like they're still renting. Like, I have friends that are married that are like making probably, between 150 and 200K a year between the both of them, and they're still renting, or upwards of 200K, and they're still renting or saving. Because of the down payment. But, they also could be uneducated, too, on the programs out there. One of my buddies, he just got out of the Air Force. So, he has that VA, the benefits. But also he doesn't know what's actually out there. But, in your opinion, you kind of what benefits are out there for first-time home buyers like myself? Because, I mean, even I'm like a little uneducated, too.
My advice for someone selling their home: number 1, do it yourself and save. Number 2, use HomePie.
HomePie makes it easy to buy or sell without an agent. I can list a home in minutes and start receiving offers right away from buyers.
When we discovered that we didn't have to lose $40,000 in agent commission just to upsize to a larger home, it was an obvious choice.
List your home for free at homepie.com. Keep your piece of the pie.
Yeah, I mean, look, we talk about this sometimes on the show, but you gotta, the very first step is, if you're really serious and you want to buy something, you got to talk to a mortgage broker. You got to sit down with somebody who's experienced. Yeah. And the best way to do that is if somebody can refer you to someone, or go online and look at reviews. Yeah. Like that's a big, right? That's a big one. And it really doesn't matter the number of reviews. Read the reviews. See what they say about that particular person, about their company. For example, AmeriFund has a ton of 5-star reviews. I mean, we're just, but, compared to other companies, maybe we've got a fraction of the volume of them, because it's not easy to get somebody to do a review, and you've got to ask them, and, it's not often that somebody just volunteers it, but that's a way to start, is you got to sit down with, or go over the phone with somebody and start the process, right? You send in their information, they analyze it. They're going to figure out the way to get you approved. So if you have a lack of down payment, there's down payment assistance. Do you qualify for that? There's all sorts of different types. Some are driven by the median income in the area. Do you qualify for those? Yeah. Some are not bound by income, but maybe they're location bound. So there's a lot of different down payment assistance programs. Yeah. You can get into an FHA loan right now, which is typically 3.5% down. But with a DPA program, that will take you to 101.5% loan to value. You know what that means? It means that not only is it zero down, they'll give you 1.5% toward your closing costs. So will you know about that by just going online and surfing or asking chat? No,
absolutely not.
You got to sit down with somebody that's got the knowledge and got the experience. So that's a way to do it if you can afford the monthly payments. So then you have to look at, okay, maybe I can get away with nothing coming out of pocket, or very little out of pocket, right? I make an offer where the seller pays the other closing costs, and maybe they pay some buy down in interest rate. They pay my real estate agent commissions. This happens. I'll give you a good example. But let's say you can get in with the cash isn't a problem. How do you afford to make the payments? Right. First of all, can you qualify for the payments? Yeah. Do you have enough income that you can show? You're self-employed. What are you showing with write-offs? Do you have enough net income to qualify? Could you get a co-signer? Could a parent co-sign? Could somebody else co-sign with you? Could you do it with your girlfriend? So these are the things that you'll explore when you're going through the pre-approval process. And then how does that payment feel? Is it comfortable? Yeah. Right now you're paying a lot for rent. Right. Right? You told me it was I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like $1,600 for just basically a room and a bathroom.
Yeah. So that's 16, and then your girlfriend's doing the same thing.
Yeah, she's paying I think like 14 because she has 2 roommates, so it went a little down, but still that's like $3,000 a month.
It's $3,000 a month right there with no tax benefits. Yeah, right, none. And so you also need to learn about the tax benefits. So let's just say, for example, down payment's no longer an issue. You figure out a way, and maybe some of that is maybe you get a gift from parent or what have you. But let's just say that you qualify for the program with the no down payment. Now you're paying $3,000 for rent, but you get no tax benefits for that. What does that equate to in a mortgage payment with taxes and insurance? All that in, we call that PITI, principal and interest. So your mortgage payment has a principal component that pays down the loan every month, and then the interest that goes to the lender, right? Principal and interest. Taxes and insurance, property taxes, homeowners insurance, PITI, okay?
Okay.
That's what that's your monthly payment,
Yeah.
PITI, okay? Maybe with the tax benefit, and I'll explain what that is, you can get into something that's closer to like $3,700 a month all in, PITI, but have it feel like $3,000 a month because you're getting a tax benefit. So the interest that you pay on that loan and the property taxes are tax deductible. Okay. So if you take your tax bracket, whatever that is, if you're in California, it's probably going to be a little more, but your federal tax bracket, state, and you figure out what the interest and the taxes are, then your percent, let's say that's 30% tax bracket, 30% of that is a dollar for dollar credit, right? So you're actually, even though you're making the payment, you're getting it back in taxes.
Yeah.
If you're under 30%. So let's say that the payment is $700 more a month instead of $3,000, it's $3,700.
Yeah.
But the tax benefit's $500 a month. Then you're only bumping up $200 for cash flow purposes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's, again, the analysis that you have to go through. But could $3,700, could you find something for that? That's the next thing, right?
Yeah.
What price range does that put you in? Because if you look at condos, now you have homeowners association dues.
Right.
Well, when you add in, especially around here, homeowners association dues, it may be the same as a single family. You could be paying $400, $500 a month for HOA. And so these are the things that you have to look at.
Yeah.
But the only way to do that is to meet with somebody, sit down, go through it, map it out, see where you need to be. Maybe you need to add a third borrower.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think that a lot of people are closer to buying a house than they think? Because, like, again, like, it goes back to, like, the mindset of, like, it almost seems unattainable, just the way everybody talks and, like, how, you know, prices have boomed here in Southern California. Like, there's, you know, like I said, I have friends that are making, like, quite a bit of money. They probably could get into something.
Yeah.
If they just knew.
Are you a tech investor looking to shape the future of real estate? HomePie is the #1 for sale by owner marketplace, and we are revolutionizing the way homes are bought and sold. I'd love to hear from you. Just email invest@homepie.com and let's chat. Now back to the show. I think that's a big part of it. It is a mysterious thing.
Yeah,
and most
for sure.
people are not raised by parents that really understand it themselves.
Right.
And so they can't go to their parents. They're not getting the education there. Maybe they're online. They're following some TikTok accounts and so forth. And they hear some things, but it's a far leap from listening to somebody talk on social media to actually reaching out. And so the biggest education piece is reach out. It doesn't hurt. If you can't qualify today, we'll give you a map on what you need to do to qualify next year or whenever. Right. Some of it may be credit related. Somebody might have not good credit. But you're right. I think the #1 inhibitor is not investigating it.
Yeah.
So you said that you had a friend that just got out of the Air Force. Well, if they're out, they may not still have their housing stipend. But a lot of these guys, will have a housing stipend while
What is that?
So the military will pay a monthly housing stipend to you.
Gotcha.
And you can use that to qualify for a mortgage. Did you know that? So like, for example, we had a client who was stationed in San Diego, wanted to buy a condo down there, had $3,400 a month in housing stipend.
Dang.
Plus their pay.
Right.
And they qualified.
Yeah.
They got into the house. Then they that was it. That was it for their term in the forces, and they got out. They no longer had the housing stipend, but they were already in the place.
Dang.
And they got to work, and they had an income from a different source, and they were able to keep it. That person now has moved on to a second place, moved out of the state, out of California, because it wasn't affordable to buy a second place here, and moved to Tennessee. So give you another example of, could you work, do you have the type of job where you could work from anywhere?
Yeah.
Have you really looked at living somewhere else?
Yeah. Because
Tennessee, for example, I mean, you could find a really nice place for a couple $100,000.
Yeah, one of my buddies, I think he's a couple years younger than me. I think he's like 21, 22. He actually just bought a house in Tennessee.
There you go.
Like, that's crazy to me.
Why didn't he use us for mortgage?
I didn't even know. He literally just dropped the bomb on me. Oh, bro, I just bought a house.
Yeah.
And he's a plumber, so he went out there and like repiped it himself over in Tennessee.
There you go.
And so now he has a tenant living in there, and then he lives here. So that's cool for him.
Yeah.
Super hyped for him.
Yeah. Look, where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
the only way to know the way is you got to talk to a professional, right? And then they'll help you figure it out. And, I'll give you another really great example. So we just got a client who also self-employed, actually on social media, okay? So just started a year and a half ago, killing it today, but it took them a while to get there, killing it today. We can't qualify for a standard loan because they haven't even filed a tax return yet with the current income. And then after they, pay taxes and they show their net income, their write-offs and all that, it still may not be enough to qualify. But this person's father is willing to give them down payment funds. So what do? So we looked at everything. We looked at, qualifying. We looked at the father doesn't want to co-sign. He doesn't mind giving the down payment funds. Well, can the father give enough down payment, 20% down, to qualify for an investment loan called a DSCR? Debt service coverage ratio. What that means is that can you buy a place and the rent pay the mortgage payment if you rent it out? And if you can, if that the rental income can pay the mortgage payment, PITI, then you can qualify for that loan without your own income.
Interesting.
Without your own income. We don't even put that income on the application.
Yeah.
And so it's the rent that qualifies for it. So look, again, where there's a will, there's a way. That person they've been renting. They didn't think they could qualify, which they were right. They couldn't qualify. But did they have a way to figure it out? That's a way.
Yeah.
Right? They wouldn't know that if they didn't talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I get what you're going through. I think a lot of people are going through that. Your friend that just got out of the military, they have their VA benefits. That's zero down. It allows very high debt to income ratios, some credit blemishes. Like that is the easiest and the best loan to get. And so they should be talking to somebody about how can I use my benefits, right?
And they never run out, right?
No, you can use it over and over again. And there are times where you can actually use your VA benefits from more than one place. It's based on the eligibility amount that you have. So again, this is one of those things you got to investigate, but definitely you can use it, then sell a place, then use it again, then sell a place and use it again.
Yeah.
However, there are times where you can use it multiple times and have multiple VA loans. Yeah. Depending on your eligibility amounts.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think that this is a good topic.
Yeah.
And probably one we should spend a lot more time on.
Yeah.
But let's kind of divert from that for a minute. Let's talk about the other end of the spectrum, reverse mortgages. So reverse mortgages are for people that are typically 62 years of age or older, although there are some proprietary products that do allow for 55 and older. Okay, so don't think if you're under 62 that you don't qualify. And you can have a younger spouse, by the way, as long as one of you are that age, you can qualify for it. So yeah, let's talk about the trouble on the other end of the spectrum. So cost of living is very high. And we're in this place where we have an aging society, meaning that there are more people turning older than there are people that are coming into the world. And these people, a lot of them are living, let's say, paycheck to paycheck, but maybe on Social Security.
Yeah.
Barely making it by. Cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of all these things are just killing them. But they've been making mortgage payments for 30 years. And, you know, maybe they pulled some cash out of their home. Maybe it's not paid off, but they've got a ton of equity. And so all their wealth is tied up in their primary residence. Well, reverse mortgages give them the opportunity to tap into their hard-earned equity that they've made payments on their entire life and help them to live until the day they pass.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about a housing expense. So if they have enough equity in their property, and today with where rates are at, let's say that's, you know, you got to have, 60 to 65% equity in the property. So only owe about 35 to 40%. And the older you are, the higher your loan amount you can get. But if you get a reverse mortgage, you never have to make a mortgage payment. So what happens is it's what we call negative amortization. So that interest that accumulates every month gets added to your principal balance. So your loan amount goes up every single month. You don't make a payment, but you can never owe more on the property than it's worth. So let's just say, for example, you get a reverse mortgage. You're 62, and now you're 80, and then there's a market crash and the values go down. And now let's say that you owe $100,000 more on your property than it's worth. Okay, let's just say, for example, doesn't matter. You still live in that property. You don't make payments. You can live in there until the day you pass. Until the second person, if you've got a spouse, passes. You can be in there till you're 101, 110. You could be in there forever, as long as you're paying your taxes and your insurance, and you're taking care of the property.
Wow,
that's it.
Yeah,
and you're living there.
Yeah, why wouldn't everyone over 62 be doing that?
I mean, it's knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Do they know?
Yeah.
Are they aware? It has a negative stigma from decades ago.
Right.
That, you know, maybe they heard from somebody it's not good, or they're going to take your house from you. None of that's true. But again, knowledge is power. And so this is why I'm leaning into the reverse side of the business. We have a full division of the company, as you know, called Reverse Loan Solutions. And the beginning of this year, I said, you know what? This is where we really need to educate the consumer.
Yeah.
There's such a need. And I've seen it absolutely improve people's lives, like crazy improvement. Because not only that, can you have no payment, you can get cash out of the property. You can get a monthly annuity, meaning where the property pays you every single month, so you have income from it. Or you can have an equity line that grows over time at the same rate that your interest rate is on the loan that's on the property.
Yeah.
So there's so many components to it that are so great and just changes people's lives that I'm putting a lot more energy into growing that division of the company. And a lot of people have heard of the company AAG. Is that familiar to you?
Mm-mm.
So AAG is a reverse mortgage company that used to run commercials with like Tom Selleck. So older, like popular actors back in the day that are now of the age of a reverse mortgage, and they would do the commercials for them. But they were acquired. The AAG was acquired about 2 years ago. They don't run those commercials anymore. And so they were the only ones really pushing widespread that education. So if people were watching the infomercials, they were learning about it, they're calling in, finding out about it for themselves. That doesn't exist anymore. And so we're going to start doing a bit of that, marketing on that side of it. But, again, the reason for it is it's a needed product. It really is. And if you're struggling out there, or you have a parent that's struggling, or you know somebody, a family member, they're sitting on a lot of equity, but they're just struggling, and maybe they've got some health issues, and they can't afford, some of the things that, just make life comfortable.
Yeah.
They should be looking into a reverse mortgage.
Yeah, and especially those people that qualify for a reverse mortgage, they're definitely not like on social media in that age group, So there's no way of them to really know.
Yeah, I think you might be a little surprised at that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is, but like a majority.
Mostly
Facebook, right,
yeah,
for sure.
And staying in touch with family members and so forth. But you're right. I mean, we got to get through to them somehow.
Yeah.
Do you know what it takes to qualify for a reverse mortgage?
Other than age, no.
Age and equity.
Gotcha.
That's it.
So equity, you have to have a certain
so depending, the older you are, the higher the loan amount you can get is.
Uh-huh.
So if you're 62, if you the youngest age, let's not talk about the 55 right now. You might only be able to get like 30% loan to value, meaning that you could owe 30% on your property and so qualify for it, or you could get 30% of a cash out loan at 30% of the value, right?
Gotcha.
Whereas if you're 80, you might be able to get 40%, right? And as rates go down, those loan amounts can go up, the loan to values. So that just gives you kind of a basic idea.
Gotcha. And then what about 55? How do you qualify for that?
So those are what's called proprietary products. So the 62 and older is typically done in a HECM loan, which is an FHA government-based reverse. So the look-alike loans are proprietary, meaning that the lenders establish very similar guidelines, but they allow a younger age to qualify. And where that really benefits people is if you've got a really high cost property, because this isn't just for people that are like, in low-cost areas that have a low-cost home. We've done these loans for people that have a $5 million home because they may be equity rich, but actually not have a lot of income, or maybe they lost their income, or maybe they closed their business or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it shut down over COVID.
Yeah.
Things were going well. They bought this beautiful property, and now, now they don't have that income anymore.
Yeah.
So it really kind of fills in the gap for those that don't qualify for the HECM product.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, so let's talk a little bit about business and interest rates and so forth. It's been a really tough market for real estate agents and for mortgage loan officers for the last 3 years. So we went through this boom, super low interest rates, 2020, 2021, totally unexpected, COVID, and it's just like it was the perfect recipe, right?
Yeah.
People went home, they're working from home, everybody went remote. There was a frenzy to go buy homes because of the low interest rates. People were selling homes overnight, like create a listing today, sold tonight, above asking, getting interest rates in the 2.5%, 3%, 3.5% range, 30-year fixed rates. And then things got bad overnight. So big refi boom, purchase boom, 2020, 2021, 2022 hits, and rates shoot up. And when I say shoot up, they went up dramatically very quick.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, it was 5%, 5.5%, 6%, 6.5%, 7%, 7.5%, 8%.
Yeah.
8.5%. We touched 9% in a very short period of time. It dried up the refi market, and it made it really tough for people to buy homes. Affordability went way down.
Yeah.
And so in the last couple of years, we have seen small improvements, but not enough to make a big difference or to get everybody to really think about buying. And so it's been slow. So the volume of business over the course of the last couple of years has gone way down. And what that has caused is a lot of companies have gone out of business. Think about the individuals, maybe real estate agents that couldn't make it, they went and got a job doing something else, they stopped doing it. We lost licensees. People didn't renew their license. This is on the mortgage side and the real estate side, to the tune of like 40% of the market, maybe more than that, okay? People that just didn't even renew their license. Some of that's good. People that were kind of dabbling in the business that weren't that great at it. It's really easy to get your real estate license, too easy.
Yeah.
Definitely more difficult to get your mortgage loan originator license. But some of these people shouldn't have been in the business, and they're out. And others are just still struggling, and they're good. They're good people, and they know their stuff, but they're struggling because there's just not a lot of business out there. I think things are changing now, like right now. We are in August of 2025, and literally just last week, the Fed, Jerome Powell, who's currently the head of it, probably won't be for long, said that we'll probably drop rates in September. They have a September meeting. Now, when they say they'll drop rates, they're talking about the federal discount rate. That's the rate by which banks can borrow money from each other in overnight lending, okay? But it will have a trickle-down effect on mortgage rates, which is why we're right now seeing an improvement in mortgage rates. We saw an improvement last week. We saw an improvement this morning. Rates are coming down. We're at the best rates we've been at in a couple of years today. It's not quite to the point where it's like people want to just go crazy about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's coming. And I think it's coming quicker than people think. I think it's going to happen in Q4 this year, that we're going to see the rates improve and then continue to improve into next year. Here's what happens, though. The better rates get, the more that people want to go out and buy.
Right.
The more competition when buying, when there's limited inventory, which we'll talk about, what happens?
Prices go up.
Prices go up, right? More competition, prices go up. Simple economics, supply and demand. So if prices go up, but interest rates go down, you still have better affordability with lower interest rates. But if you've been sitting on the fence, now would be the time to buy when that competition isn't there, so you can get a better deal on the property, get more credits for closing costs from a seller that needs to sell, and then just refinance. So it's the old adage that we talk about, which is marry the home, date the rate. And what that means is buy the home you want. Know that you're going to be in there for long term. The interest rate that you get today is not the interest rate you'll have tomorrow. You'll have an opportunity to refinance that and get a lower interest rate, maybe more than one time. But if you get into the home today, you'll get a better price. It creates more affordability for you in the future. Of course, the taxes are lower because if the prices go up, you pay more in property taxes.
Yeah.
And then you can refinance later. And so that's why we say marry the property, date the rate.
Yeah.
Buy when nobody else is buying.
Yeah.
Sell when nobody else is selling.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about refinance a little bit, just because I'm a little uneducated. But like, if you buy a house now, like how soon can you refinance? And like, what technically even is refinancing?
Sure.
It's dropping your rate, of course. And then there's like a cash out refinance too. So like, just out of curiosity.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, these are kind of the basics that we don't talk about.
Right.
So first of all, refinancing is like it sounds, right? You're going to replace the existing loan with a new loan, okay? And so based on the merits of your existing loan, you have to analyze if it makes sense to get a new loan. Most of the time, it's to get a better interest rate and lower payments. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it is a matter of, like you said, cash out. Maybe you can pull cash out of the property. You've got equity built up, and you can pay off other debts. Maybe you can pay off a high interest credit card or multiple credit cards. Maybe you can pay off a car payment that has a high interest rate if you're not self-employed and you're getting the tax benefit of that. So you might be able to consolidate debt that might be short-term high interest rate debt, which has a high monthly payment, which hurts your cash flow, and trade that out for a long-term 30-year mortgage payment that gives you a much lower monthly payment, right, at a better interest rate. And so there are times where it makes sense to refinance, debt consolidation, and maybe you're even getting a slightly higher interest rate than you currently have on your loan, because overall, the combination of all the rates that you're paying, it winds up being collectively lower than what you have otherwise. And so it's not always just about lowering the interest rate or lowering your payment. There are other factors there, right? Or maybe it's cash out because you found another property and you want to pull cash out and go put it down on another property as an investment. But you know you can afford to make the payments on it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different reasons to refinance, but that's what that is. It's redoing the debt. Now, the follow-up question is, well, do you have to go back to 30 years?
Yeah.
Like, I've been paying on it for 5 years. Am I going to go back to you don't have to.
Right. Okay, you stay
You
the
don't.
same.
You can stay. You can choose a 25-year or a 26-year loan. You can choose the amortization over what period of time. It used to be that you could only do 30, 20, 15, 10. That used to be the only choices. Now you can kind of pick your period of time. But does it make sense to?
Yeah.
If you're getting a decent interest rate and you want the cash flow, maybe you take the longer amortization, which lowers your payment. So a 30-year payment is going to be a lot less than a 15-year payment because you're paying it off over a shorter period of time on the 15-year. But let's just say that you've been making the mortgage payments for 5 years, and you're like, well, I don't want to go back to 30. Well, you don't have to. You can choose a 25-year, or you can take a 30-year, but pay it as if it's 25.
Yeah.
So meaning that you get the option of making that lower payment if you ever needed to, if something happened and you want to make that, but make the higher payment that pays it off in 25 years.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's what refinancing is.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think that we're headed into a period of time where interest rates are going to get better. Competition's going to get greater. More people are going to be buying homes. There's still not enough supply. We're way, way, way lower than what we need to be for supply, both in existing homes and new homes. And so because of that, we'll likely see in most areas values start to go up again. Now, there have been areas that values have not been impacted. Maybe they've slowed down. Maybe they're not going up at the same rate, but they're still going up slightly. It's kind of been normalized. And then there are areas that have been overbought. Places like Austin, Texas, where values have been coming down quite a bit. So this is what, in this current market where we are absolutely today, August 2025, you can buy a home and ask the seller to pay your closing costs for you. And when I talk about closing cost credits, I'm talking about a substantial amount of credits.
Yeah.
We've got somebody in escrow right now buying a home in Tennessee where they got $28,000 of closing cost credit on a $590,000 purchase. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Plus paying the seller paying their real estate agent. On top of that.
Yeah.
Well, that gives buy down money. So it gives you an interest rate that may be 1% lower than what they would already get if they didn't pay that. So this is the market to wheel and deal in, get the best deal you can possibly get. And then if rates drop enough, then you just refinance that. But you may not be able to get that same type of credit if there are 3 people or 4 people or 10 people looking at that same home to purchase, right? Now the seller is in control.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think we're in a good market today as we're heading into it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about just business in general. So I think that people can relate when you talk about struggles in business.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people you're self-employed.
Yeah.
I'm self-employed. Think about all your friends. How many of them have a W-2 job versus doing something where they're the master of their destiny?
Basically all of them have a W-2 job.
All of them.
I mean, a majority of them, or they're working for somebody like my buddy that I said bought a house. He's a plumber, but like his dad's a plumber also, and his dad runs the business, and he just works for him. So like, you know, technically he is a W-2, but he also is like still trying to like work on entrepreneur, stuff like that. So majority of them I would say is a W-2.
Okay. All right. That's good. No, I didn't know that. I thought perhaps the other way around. Maybe it's the circle I'm in, and you know, people on social media making a lot of money and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It seems to be mostly the youth that are doing that.
Yeah. No, I think a majority of my friends are W-2,
W-2.
But like they all have aspirations to do something else. They all want to like own the business, but it's just, you know, it's taking that step, and like, again, just uneducated too. You got to want to learn, and not a lot of them want to. They want the you know, the schedule and the, you know, being able to, you know, have someone else do the work and them just run the business, but they don't see the hardship behind it too.
Yeah, and that is the thing. That's kind of the untold story, is the hardship behind it. So entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, right? And there's ups and downs. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it can be really bad.
Yeah.
So let me tell you some of the things that people don't talk about when it comes to owning your own business. They don't talk about the personnel problems. You know, it seems that when you're a business owner, a small business owner especially, small to mid-size, you wind up being this negotiator of personalities, right? And so people that have problems with each other, people that complain about others in the business, or they come in, they bring their dirty laundry in from outside of work, or, you know, they're you've got critical projects you're working on and they call in sick. You know, it's a long weekend and they don't show up the day after the long weekend. And, you know, if you own a business, you know what I'm talking about. And so what happens when that sort of thing happens, especially if you don't have a deep bench of staff to help cover, you wind up having to do that as the owner. There's no punching a clock. There's no check in, check out. Anything that goes wrong with the business, anything that needs help, you've got to be there to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's all on you.
Yeah.
So people think it's all glorious that you can make your own hours and you can do this. No. You don't have hours. You're working all the time.
Yeah.
And when you're not working, you're working because your brain is working on it. When you lay down and put your head on the pillow, you're thinking about payroll. You're thinking about insurance. You most likely, if you're in a business that's consumer facing, you deal with consumer complaints. You deal with lawsuits. That's another thing that people don't talk about. You're an employee for a company. You're not dealing with any lawsuits. It happens all the time. You almost become numb to it the longer you've been in the business. It's just a factor. Or maybe it's regulatory complaints, or it's, regulators that are coming in and, just abusing you. In our business, it's about the licensing authorities, departments of real estate and that sort of thing. You've got compliance. These are all things. You've got reports that you have to do. You've got all the things that are not glorious.
Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, fall on you as a business owner.
Yeah.
And people don't talk about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or how about when you lose a great salesperson, and then they take 5 others with them.
Yeah.
And so you go from things are pretty good to now what do we do? And so until you get to the point, and I'll admit this, like we're pretty small today. We've lost half of our staff. We went through some big changes over the course of the last 4 to 5 months, and I feel like we're in a really, really good place today. But we had some cleanup to do. I wasn't running the day-to-day of the company. And once I kind of took back the reins, I was like, oh my gosh, there are some big holes here.
Yeah.
So as an owner, you got to keep your eye on the ball. It's a lesson. I've been in business for 30 years. I had to just learn that lesson.
Yeah.
Like, you can't put your trust and faith into other people.
Yeah.
Now, I had a big company before, and when you get to a certain size, and that one was a couple hundred, over time we had as much as maybe 800 employees, not all at the same time.
Yeah.
But maybe 300 at the same time. But once you get to about 200, there's enough replication of duties that the impact of what falls on kind of the day-to-day operation on the founder, the owner, the CEO is a lot easier because you have people you can rely on. You have multiple people in each seat that you can rely on. But up until that time, you really have to know all the workings of the business. You have to be involved in it, and you can't sleep on it. Like it's just there's just a lot that goes on that if you're not involved in it, it can go wrong. And so you're the first one not to take a paycheck when others need to get paid. You're the first one to inject money into the company when it's needed. You're the one that is the driver of the business to keep it alive. Without you, it doesn't exist. And when you have that kind of responsibility, it can weigh on most people. When you start throwing on top of that, audits, or like I said, lawsuits, or maybe you've got a crazy client who, I have this for the first time in my, since I've been in business, I have for the first time somebody I got a restraining order on. Just crazy people. I don't know this person. I was not the one that handled their transaction.
Yeah.
But because I'm the owner, I'm the target, right? And so these are the things that people don't talk about.
Yeah, no kidding. That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, and whether you own a company or maybe you're a salesperson, you're 100% commission, so you're kind of self-employed anyway, or you've had some exposure to that, or your wife is, or your husband is, or what have you, you know what I'm talking about. Just know that you're not alone. It's not. Nobody's immune from this.
Yeah.
No matter what, nobody's immune.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with it and how you come out of it. It was funny because I was watching so there are certain things that inspire. There's certain things that inspire everybody, right? That resonates with them. And it might be a clip that you see at the right time, right? Just at the right time for you. Maybe somebody's listening to this. It's just the right time to hear this.
Right.
So I was watching a clip, and I don't remember what platform it was on, but I was watching a clip, and the guy starts out by saying over 40 failures before I sold my business for $52 million.
Wow.
So I was intrigued. That was
Yeah,
a
of
good
course.
hook, by the way, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A 3-second hook.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm watching it, and he went through, didn't go through all 40, but he went through kind of systematically. This business, this went wrong. This business, this went wrong. This business, it went okay, but it only funded this business that was losing. Then I started over and I tried this business. Then I started over and tried that business. It kind of went through all these different things.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it. I'm going, my goodness, 40 different businesses. And some of them were somewhat related and some were totally different. Some were selling a product, some were not. And at the end of the day, then he talked about the one that he just sold for $52 million, and it was kind of related to some of the others, but different, right? And I looked at that and I go, man, there's somebody who tried 40 different times. I've got maybe 7 different businesses I'm juggling to one extent or another.
Yeah.
When I say businesses, some of it is owning properties, some of it is other things, but. Most of my energy is in 2 businesses. And to think about, well, I'm just going to stop doing this. It didn't work out. I'm going to stop. I'm going to start something else. That's something I never really did.
Yeah.
I kind of forced my way, to make it at least somewhat successful, no matter what business I've started. But never really quit on a business. But here's somebody who made the decision. I'm just going to keep trying things until I find the right one that works. And I thought, it's very interesting. It's a whole different approach. So again, the right message at the right time, makes you really think. And then the action that you take after that is what's important. So just like you super talented.
Thanks.
Camera, filming, editing, sound. Like, think of all the knowledge that you have, all the setup in here.
Right.
We're gonna have to call quits here in a second. All the setup in here and all the different things, like super talented. Would you give that up and start up something totally different?
Yeah.
Or maybe do a slight pivot and go, hey, how can I use this to do other things?
Yeah.
And so this is where, being self-employed and owning a business, you've really got to be in tune with where do you want to be? And have you run the road on this one? Should you start over? Or do you need to keep forging ahead?
Right.
But you got to do one or the other.
Yeah.
When you give up, that's when you're never going to reach your goals. Yeah. All right. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us on The Blueprint today. This was one of those special editions where I just wanted to talk about various things. I probably could have gone for a bit longer, but I do have to jump into a meeting. So if you like this, if you got some benefit out of what you've seen, what you've heard, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. Give me a rating. Those 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of those really do help out. I would really appreciate it. And share this with a friend. We look forward to seeing you again on the next Blueprint.